guys, and welcome to today's task. For today's task, we are laying the radiant heat on this floor. One of the first things we got to put down is our 6 mil plastic sheeting. That is our membrane that is going to cover all of the rock and everything so that moisture and smell and all that doesn't come up through. So it just kind of keeps dry up and wet and moist down. I said moist. You guys, it is 5:30 in the morning. We are trying to get here early. One, because we have a very quick deadline today, and two, because it's just too stinking hot during the day. So this stuff becomes like a mirror, and it's like you're in a tanning booth the entire time. So we wanted to get out here and work on it while it was cool. So I've recruited my brother-in-law, Landon, to help me.
What's up, guys?
And luckily I did, because we were able to get a lot farther than I thought we were going to. So our next steps are buttoning up a few of these seams. It is not required to seam this, but I really want this stuff to float together as best I can. So everything is taped and seamed together. Vapor membrane underneath is taped. And I think that'll just kind of keep the envelope of the house a little more solidified and airtight, and just not have that damp feel anywhere in the basement. If you are questioning whether vapor barrier is worthwhile or not, look at the moisture and the heat that is just produced on this piece alone. It just keeps that out of the house. That's just moisture that's just not going to come up through now. It's going to stay below this plastic, and that's fantastic. It's completely dry up here, but you can see all of that water just coming in. Our styrofoam envelope is now down, excluding some of the pressure points for some of the load-bearing stuff that's going to be from up above. They recommend you not put foam in because it can compress, so we didn't. So everything else is down and ready, and we are actually starting to mount some of the manifolds. Now, these are semi-permanent spots. Tubing will come here, and it's permanent, and this will stay here, but it's going to be off the wall just a little bit. There's a little bit of flex and detail we're going to go into once we start framing around it and whatnot, but you just have to have it in place for a pressure test. So this is the end of the zone we're going to work on, is the bedrooms. Olivia's, Cody's, Boston, and Lincoln's. So I went through Radiant Tech, and I really like them. They were really cool to work with. They asked me how many zones I want and how I want to break it up. I wanted the kids' room to be one temperature, so that if we wanted to keep their rooms a little cooler, we could. I wanted this bathroom and this main area to be similar temperatures. And then I also wanted the salon slash area to be a totally different temperature. And I wanted the garage to be a different temperature. And because they all are on different zones, it allows us to fluctuate the temperatures within those. There'll be temperature gauges all throughout the slab for that. When I ordered my kit, which, by the way, when you order it, everything that you need comes with it, even like the pressure test system and all that. It's really cool. It's really simple the way they did it, so I really recommend them. But I did have to order separately my way to fasten them down, and I ordered this staple gun, which I think is going to be pretty sweet. One method is to staple it with this. The other method is to lay a wire mesh down and zip tie it, and that just looked so monotonous. Maybe that's probably better for the concrete, I don't know, but this seemed cool, and it also seemed really slick. So all the guys I saw watch use this, it just went super fast. So it's built to just straddle the tubing and just go. And you can put 300 staples on at one time. So you really just wham, bam, and go. First row and staples coming in like a champ. There is no way this is a one-person job though. And they never said that. So Don't let today's task fool you. It's not a one-person job. This zone is almost done. We have one more run here, and then we go back to the manifold. What is cool about this piping though, all of the pipe is marked with feet lengths on it so that you know exactly where you're at, so that you can get back to the manifold in less than 300 feet. You want your zones to typically be about the same footage. So say if one is 250 and one's 300, you want to see if you can try to get them the same so that they'll heat the same if they're in the same zone. One thing to note is you have to trust your layout guide, which is why you buy the kits the way you do, so that they lay it out and tell you. We just did a zone, and the entire way back, it started from here, comes all the way down, zigzags all over the place right here, and then it comes back. And I was seriously just a little panicked, like, man, we're gonna have to rip this up, redo it. No, it came out to the perfect amount. And when we looked at the print, it shows the full 300 feet on that one. So just trust in it and follow it to the best of your ability, and you're gonna be great. Done. A few things that I really like is that when we put the styrofoam down, I felt like it floated a little bit. Some of them were tweaked just a little bit, and I didn't like the way they felt, but it was just kind of what it was, and I figured the concrete would weigh it down. But stitching them all together across every single seam, we would just stitch. So they kind of just wove everything together, and it just feels so stout right now. We did get a little bit off here. Don't mind that spot. It's warm in the main part of the room, and that's what we needed. This little area should be okay. But we came down to like feet perfectly on that last one, so I think we're good. While I am connecting all of our fittings, Landon is pressurizing the line. We have to take it up to 100 PSI, and it has to stay there so that it can approve inspection. Oh, we're getting there. While Landon is going and fetching air, because we do have power now at the house, but it's clear the heck over there. I haven't got the extension cord that will reach over here yet. I am crimping these up. So what you can do, and what I like to see done at least, is using these little PVC elbows. These are a 90 for a electrical fitting. You cannot use a sprinkler 90. It's got to be a long 90. They call it a sweep, so that it's drawn out and enough. And so that's what we're using to push those through. It just creates a barrier between this hose and the concrete and anything else. And I really like that it creates a sharp 90, because it really points it right where I want it. So I brought them up, I cut them to length. You take this nut, sleeve it on, and this ferrule and sleeve it on, and then you push them back up in, make sure it's lined up, really smooth, and tighten it up. Now, it should go hand tight to begin with. If it's not, you're cross threading, and because these are brass, they'll cross thread really easy. So you have to be really, really careful about it. So make sure it's lined up, going on smooth, and then you can just cinch it right up. So we were at 100 PSI last night when we left. We are down, but that is not because of lack of air pressure on any of the fittings. It's because it finally cooled off, and it's not so hot, so that'll get right back up to 100 PSI very quickly. And that one dropped to about the same, so we are golden. 4:30 a.m. pouring, here we go. We've got mud. We've got our pump truck from our favorite contractors, Grange Construction, pumping at 4:30 this morning, because that's the only time we could get concrete. We're gonna be pumping 40 plus yards, so 4 trucks guaranteed, possibly a 5th. You ready for this?
Yes, I gotta be on here.
We're pouring this section first, and then right up against the house first, because that will be all that the pump truck is necessary to do. And then the rest of the trucks, we can actually drive them around back, and they can nose in and give us the rest. Pump trucks are expensive. You're looking about 600 bucks an hour is typical rate. And if you can cut one of those hours off, that's good savings. concrete around for a minute. I got a bird's eye view of what the pipe is doing underneath. And it flexed just a little bit. Nothing really crazy, but I figure if I've got a minute, I'm going to throw some extras in. You guys, what started at 4:30 this morning is now finally complete, and it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It took a long time to work it and process it and get it to firm up, and then once it starts firming up, it is like dire need to get it finished. And so they were working really, really hard, really fast. It got to the point where I was a fourth man on their crew almost, trying to get some tools to them when they needed it, water when they needed it. It just gets busy real quick with concrete, but they did a great job. Everything has, man, that's super echoey now. It has a ultra smooth finish on it, and that's gonna feel really smooth. Tomorrow they're gonna come and cut seams in this one just because that is gonna be exposed, and we don't wanna see any cracks if it does crack. Out here it really doesn't matter, and we don't wanna cut it because we have the radiant. And to show that we didn't mess up anything, we are still at 100 PSI. 100 PSI on this valve as well. And this little cutout that we have is for a bath that we've got to still put in. But you can see the layers here. Here's our vapor barrier, here's our insulation, and here's our concrete. And there is radiant underneath here, but it all stayed away from the edge so you don't see it. You guys, that is going to be the end of this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you yourself have put in radiant heating, tell me in the comments what you like about it, because I know I'm excited to have it. I felt a little bit of it, but I've never owned it myself. So tell me what you like the most about having it in your own house, if you have it. And we'll see you guys next time. Moisture, as well as the Merle Haggard. We like Merle. As well as when you pull it out, or